Hey folks, Coach Patrick here. Excited to have you join me today to talk a little bit about the out season. We've got a quick, detailed look inside the out season. I'm trying to balance a little bit of what it means to have specificity with the out season program, get you up to date on what it means, what's new about the program, how we're handling it this year, and then also making sure that I answer all your questions. And that'll be a juggling match. So I'm gonna have the chat open on the side, do my best to navigate the presentation and have everything here ready for you. But if you do have questions, please drop them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them for you as we go along. I'm sure there'll be some things that come up as well. Do know that this whole session will be recorded as well. So should you have additional questions afterwards, etc., I'll be sending this to you, but you can also follow up with me. Just building out the infrastructure right now. Full disclosure on making sure we got everyone on track who signed up, and so we can get that all ready and rocking and rolling. So do be patient with us, but I'm here and I'm happy to kind of talk you through everything that we have. Okay, so we got the comments here. Michelle is back. Michelle Swanson. Oh my goodness, I heard about your hike. Michelle, you do know that I want to know how big your phone was on that hike. Brenda told me you took amazing pictures. My dumb joke lives on inside my head. I can't wait to see you again, which is fantastic. Marianne, also great to have you here. Amazing. Okay, great. So let's dive into it. Let's do this out season thing. I'm assuming this will take about 30 minutes. But again, if you've got questions, drop them in here. If I don't answer them right away, I'll see them and I'll be able to answer them later for you as well. Okay. All right. So we will add this to the stage here. Put myself on the side. How small can I get? All right. Maybe I'll do no matter. Okay, well, there we go. Okay, so we'll go through this together. Amazing. So bear with me. Out season. We'll go through it. Okay, so things that we're going to cover, just a refresher for those of you who've been on in the team or in the out season before, kind of what the core principles are. I'll talk briefly at the beginning, actually, a little out of order about the evolution, talk a little bit about season planning, and then do Q&A. Okay, pretty straightforward stuff for you. One thing that I do want you to note, A, I will be drinking coffee throughout the session, so bear with me. But B, also the key dates. So program 1 is November 4th to February 10th, and program 2 is January 6th to April 14th. I've already had someone ask me, what happens if I start program 1, but then I need to eject and go into program 2? That's fine. You don't have to do one. I do not want you to do both programs. You should never do 28 weeks of training, and obviously they overlap a little bit there. But there you go. And some people did sign up for session 2. If for some reason you're getting information about session 1, you can ignore it. You'll still be able to get into session 2. You've signed up. So don't worry about that. Okay. The key differential between the two really is about that season piece, which I mentioned, which is where are you in your year and where's your key race or what are you looking to do? So generally speaking, most people's seasons are wrapped by now in October, unless you're doing a championship race or you sign up for a late season race in, North America, Northern Hemisphere, weather's not so great for doing all the endurance work. So we're not really in a place where we're doing lots of additional volume and so on. Maybe you've got a fall marathon, but TBD. So if you've already done your work, then it's time to focus on recovery, balance, etc., and then get ready for the out season starting in November. Starting early in November gives you lots of options later in the year. Life gets crazy. Those of you, raise your hand or chat in the chat. If you're in the out season and you've had some hiccups come along the way, we see all shapes, sizes, forms, from illness to injury to conflict with work, to just challenges with general life, whatever it may be. All of those things are real, they're normal. And so as a result, if you start earlier in your winter with the out season, later on, you've got lots of opportunities. You've already got a bunch of fitness, durability, everything in the bank to allow you to move forward more rapidly. Okay. If you need to wait for later, that's also fine, but just as a context, so you know. Okay. So the whole methodology for Endurance Nation's out season, which is the most important part of all the work that we do, is fast and far, or as we also like to say, work is speed. Have sort of our go-to phrases inside the team amongst many other ones as well. But the whole principle here is that the way we work in terms of coaching you is around building your speed and strength first before we go long. It's all about the principle of specificity. So right now we're in the winter time. We don't have volume. We don't have big races. You're not doing an Ironman or a 50K or a 9-hour gravel ride or whatever you're doing. As a result, we have an opportunity now to build actually high-end fitness, because when we get in season, we need to be specific. We need to be doing long rides. We need to be practicing our nutrition. We need to practice our execution. We have to dial in the equipment. We have to get really good at staying in certain zones. That's what race day success is like. But if you always stay in those zones all year long, you never see the evolution that we need to actually become stronger and faster. So basically, every year you go out, you train in zone 1, zone 2 all year, you get to race day, you have I don't know, like a 5-hour marathon, you do a 13-hour Ironman, super respectable in both cases. And next year, you're like, I'm going to train again. And next year, I'm going to go faster. So you go back, you do the same training, and you go back and you go like 20 minutes faster on your Ironman. Why? Because, well, this time you didn't put your socks on when your feet were wet, or you didn't fight your wetsuit to death. You just sprayed your legs a little bit with some, cooking spray, and you could take it off or body glide, and you're faster. But metabolically, you're not changing. You're just doing the same work every year. But you're like, I sure hope I go faster. I'm going to do the same steady work all year. That's not how it works. Somewhat intermediary programs, what they'll do is they'll say, hey, we start off like with the base, and then we add in the fast stuff as we get closer to race. That's awful because you can't add the fast stuff at the same time as you're adding all the volume. That's a big X for those of you watching me in the mini screen at home. That's where things go wrong. Hey, Tom, it's great to have you back. And so what happens is you end up in a place where you're trying to add speed and strength on top of volume, and most age groupers simply cannot handle it. It just wears you down. Like what happens is people are good during the week, say Monday through Thursday-ish, maybe Monday through Friday. They're heroes during the week, and on the weekends, it's just suffering. They're just trying to get through the whole place. They're trying to get through the whole process, and hopefully they can make it to the end of the whole program without explodifying, which is like the last resort that we want to have on your agenda for the year, right? So inside Endurance Nation, we do fast before far. So you'll see in the OutSeason program that we have interval training. What it's designed to do is actually help you become stronger and faster now, so that we're not dealing with the need to add all of that speed later. So what it means is, let's just say you finish this year and your bike, you're riding like 17 miles an hour outside. You love it. You're at like 145 watts. You're running 9-minute miles. You're happy with that, etc. Our goal is to have you rest. We'll lose some of those numbers, some of those fitness, and then we'll come back. Hey, George, we'll have you come back. And what happens is, and guys, feel free to chat each other in the chat as well. Why don't you say where you are all from right now so people can get a sense geographically where you are? That'd be great. What it means is that we're going to actually do some solid work during the winter, and we'll make you out of the out season at those levels that you exited this year at or higher. So you'll be ideally riding at 18 miles an hour or maybe 165 watts, and you'll be running at like 830s instead of your 9s. What that means is when we go outside, we say, oh, I'm going to go back to my zone 2, but now your zone 2 is actually a mile an hour faster. Right? We've had some people actually have to go back out and find new routes because their 1 hour route now is now a 47-minute route, and it's not a 1 hour ride anymore, and they got to figure something out. That's our goal. So we make you faster and stronger there. Surprising your training partners every single spring is what we do. The reason why we do the hard work, and this is an important side, so I'm going to dwell on it just for a second. Ooh, we got representatives ever, East Coast, West Coast. Hey, Dave, north of the border there. So the difference here is the hard work recruits fast and slow twitch muscles. So really, when we say specificity, I'm really talking about motor unit recruitment, which sounds like crazy. But what I'm really talking about is when we make demands of our body and our muscles respond to do the work. If we only ever train in zone 1, zone 2, then we're only recruiting our slow twitch muscles. We never work those fast twitch muscles. Now, when we start to move up the effort spectrum and get out of zone 2 and zone 3, 4, 5, or whatever zones you follow, as we move up, we start to we're still recruiting the slow twitch muscles, but we're also starting to recruit fast twitch muscles as well. So we're using more muscles overall. So when it comes time later in the season to start building fitness on top of what we have, we've been recruiting a whole spectrum of muscles, fibers that are going to help you become stronger and faster, as opposed to only ever working on the fast twitch, right? So it's not like if I do fast work, I'm not building endurance. And if I'm doing endurance work, I'm not building fast stuff. There's overlapping metabolic components, but what really is happening is that when we do our high-end work, we get the benefit of reaping both in a more efficient manner. And what that really means for us here is that when we get into training inside Endurance Nation for the winter, we're looking at that specificity. You'll have options with your plan, so don't worry about it. And we're not going to intervalify you to death, but they should know what it is. Hey, Anthony, good to see you too. My goodness. All over the country. Good to see. So, and then as I said earlier, but I'll remind you again, race prep is for endurance specificity. Inside Endurance Nation, those of you who've been on the team know we've got a whole protocol from benchmarking workouts to race preparation workouts to sweat testing to nutrition planning to race planning. There's a lot of logistics that go into having a great race. By that time, we're not also building tons of fitness as well. We really need your mental capacity there to be, sort of at your peak in terms of being able to race at your best. Okay. So when we're in the out season, what do we do? Our job is to get as fast as we can on as little time as possible. And the reason why we do that is twofold. Number one, well, actually threefold. Number one, which isn't even on the slide, is just that you like the harder you work, the more rest you need. And the winter's perfect for that. We can get 24 hours between workouts. You do a hard, or 48 hours. If you do a hard Tuesday morning interval and a hard Thursday morning interval, you got 48 hours between those sessions to go forward, which is fantastic. When we're in season and training for our race, especially those of you who are multi-sport athletes, you could be doing a hard bike on Tuesday and a run in the afternoon, but then Wednesday morning you've got another run, and you only got like 10 hours between sessions, right? It's hard to sleep after the Tuesday night session. You got the other one. And so what happens in season is that our windows or opportunities for recovery, which is when we grow, when we adapt, is severely limited. In many ways, the last couple of weeks to race is like survival, right? How do we get into a place where we can just get through this and survive? So we don't want to be in that position. So we do the fast now, so we're not trying to crush you later. The second piece is the cost of time is variable, which means that right now, time is really hard to come by. The daylight savings is coming. The time shorting, the weather's getting cooler for most of us, not everybody, and it's harder and harder to find time. As a result, trying to fit longer workouts into that block is just miserable. It's very expensive time. Lots of family events, holiday things, holiday travel coming up. I'm trying to force workouts into those boxes becomes really, really costly. But compared to the summertime, when you've got more flexibility with your days, the weather, et cetera, nicer. So we want to honor the fact that time commitment's really tight right now. And then last but not least, and I said this earlier in the presentation, that hard work now gives us lots of flexibility. Okay, so when we think of what that means is if you exit in February with fitness, and then let's just say life goes crazy in the springtime, like your deck. Look, I'm looking outside at my deck down there. Your deck falls off your house. Please, dear God, please don't fall off my house. Whatever you do, your deck falls off your house. A hurricane comes through, or some version of that, and you're like, I got to spend 6 weeks cleaning up. And you say, oh my goodness, I'm losing 6 weeks of all this hard-earned fitness. That's fine. Like once you've built fitness and it's in a recent window, we can always get it back. And even better yet, we can actually maintain it strategically across a year. What I can't do is if you mailed in the winter because you're like, I'm just going to hang out and just run every once in a while, go for hikes with my dog, maybe do some turkey trots or whatever. And then you're getting ready in the spring to get started. And then the deck fell off your house. Now you're not training for another 6 weeks. Your race date, still the date. It's not moving. Now your July race date is now only like 4 months away or 3.5 months away, and you haven't done anything yet. And going from 0 to race day in that window is just not great. So it just gives you more flexibility as well. Speaking of races, actually, it'd be great to hear if you guys, since you're active in the chat, what are we up to this year? What are we looking to race in the upcoming season? What does that mean for you? Tom, you can only type one event. You can't type all 17 of them. That's not going to work for you. I'd love to see what you are racing as well. Give me some context as I talk through this OutSeason presentation. Okay, so the FAR goes under the fast later in the year, and we usually do that in March. So when we're exiting the OutSeason, there'll be swim camp, which is a little bit of restorative time, and then we'll get into the specificity and doing some more volume for you later in the year, which is where we go. So just plan for that accordingly. Yes, there's opportunities to go longer in the winter. Yes, some people actually take Saturday, Sunday off and have fun with their training. What do they want to do? So we want to kind of put those pieces in there. But in general, what we're looking for here, 10 to 15% power improvement between week 1 and week 14. And almost in the past, we've seen up to 245 as an improvement for a 10K. So going from like a 52-minute 10K to a 49XX 10K improvement between week 1 and week 14. So the key thing that I want to just reiterate as we go through this, and thanks for these races. Oh my goodness, Ottawa's going to be beautiful, Michelle. Is that we want to make sure that you have some rest now. So you should be here in October kind of laying low, kind of chilling a little bit. We don't start till November 4th. And so you should be just kind of, relaxing, absorbing last year, doing all the administrative stuff, taking care of your body, getting your pain cave ready, all that. In fact, I know Ross was, speaking of pain caves, was posting, Steve West, oh my goodness, got you back. Is thinking a little bit about what our pain cave looks like. So Ross, we got to get that fired up for you so we can do that. Okay, amazing. Okay, the pre-out season, which I'm kind of hinting at right now, just durability work. Those of you on the team, we have durability plans you can use. Those of you not on the team, just lay low. It's just, 30, 40 minutes of aerobic activity a day. Please don't be in your TT bike. Please don't do tons of Zwift races. We're just kind of laying low, staying active, staying mobile, etc. When we start the out season, ideally you have a good numbers based off of where you are. And that means please don't pick like your fastest 5K from the last 6 years and use that as your interval selection time. Most times there's some confusion in general, which is like, hey, Patrick, I want to set my my paces or my speeds inside Final Surge, which is our training platform. I want to set them faster so that I can get there. Right. So I know I can run 8.9s right now at threshold, but I want to run 8. So I'm going to start running like 8:30s at threshold, even though I can only run 9s right now. That's not how the program works. An example of that would be weightlifting. If you and I both want to be able to bench 150 pounds, but we can only bench 100 pounds now, we don't put 125 pounds on the bar and start benching it. We can only bench 100 pounds right now. Like putting 125 on there, I'm going to be doing the work, just trying to spot you. And then I'm going to curse at you later because we probably did something in my lower back. The program will get you there. It's really important that we use realistic numbers, which is why I recommend you test and that you also will be testing throughout the outseason. Basically, you work out until you earn the next level, and you'll start to see it. You'll see it in your intervals. You'll have numbers and levels associated with it. Say it's 150 watts. By the time you get to week 3 or week 4, all of a sudden it's much easier for you to hold those numbers than it was in week 1. It's almost time to test anyway. But if you want to on the bike, you can always kind of turn it a little bit, give yourself 5 extra watts or so on. I really caution you against turning the dial on the run, simply because we want you to stay healthy. Being aggressive on the run can be challenging. So we can always talk as we go through the out season and figure out what that would look like for you. Okay. Oh my goodness, we got a match already. We got Anthony and Marion already doing the same 70.3. Amazing. Okay. All right. So there are 3 levels to the out season. This is important to remember, especially for those of you who have been away for a while. So level 1, newer athletes are coming back. So George, I think you're coming back, for your first Ironman in a while, although it sounds like you've been fit. If it's been a while since you've done the 3 disciplines, just start off at level 1. Nothing to stop you from, we can always remove that plan and put level 2 in, or remove that plan or put level 3 in, etc. But it does give you the options. And basically, as you go through it, you can actually follow the plan workouts as you want. Now that I think about it, I think the level workouts are actually in the workout description. So you can actually come in and say, oh, listen, you can be a level 1 runner, but you can be a level 2 biker based on levels, because you'll see in the workout, there's like a level 1, level 2, and level 3 interval set for you as you go. So returning from layoff or injury, start with level 1. Whoops. Apparently clicking does something. Level 2, if you've been consistent and you've been training this past year, level 2. Most people start off at level 2. Level 3, the experienced or high performing athletes. This, if you've done a couple out seasons in a row, or you were really competing at a high level this year, you can go for level 3. The difference between all of them is that the level 1 program has more rest and a slower progression of intervals. For level 3, the progression of intervals is pretty rapid, and we get to like longer sustained efforts later in the out season. So the tricky part about like level 3 is it's still achievable in the first 4 weeks, but by like week 6 or week 7, people are like, ooh, these numbers are not so easy. And again, we can always drop down to level 2 as well. Your job inside the community will be, hey, where do I need to be right now? Where am I struggling? Reach out, let's socialize it, and let's figure out what the next step is for you. I think that'd be really important. Okay, amazing. All right, let's see here. Next slide. The typical out-season week. This is what Final Surge looks like. These are your workouts. I was going to go to Final Surge, but sharing the screen doesn't work out so well. But just so you know, purple are notes. The light blues are rest days, which you typically put on Monday and Friday. Black is strength or flexibility. Green is cycling. Gray is running. And there's no swimming, but that's normally blue. If you want to, of course, we can always add things on Mondays and Fridays. Some people will want to swim all winter, and we generally try and put them on those days. If you have conflicts with your season or problems with what that looks like, again, we can talk about it when the out season starts. This is all drag and droppable. So you can go right into Final Surge and be like, I want to move this over here and move this over here. In general, if you make a change during your week for 1 week because of an accommodation or something you need to do, no problem. If you're going to always put the 2 bikes together, always put Tuesdays and Thursdays together, that's a conversation item that we should have just to make sure that you're on the same page and you're actually doing the workouts as well as you can. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, and I think I'll talk about in a little bit as well, there is like a little bit of a break here where we sort of say like, oh, hey, there's like this whole block Tuesday through Thursday, which is one work block of the week. And then we have another work block of the week, which is the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Some people will use those weekends liberally. Like, again, if you've got a trip planned or you're going skiing or winter sports or warm weather stuff, enjoy your vacation. Like the out season will be here. Please don't try and rent a bike to do intervals in your hotel gym or whatever it may be. We can always get you back and adjust you as you go accordingly. But even just doing the Monday through Thursday block has proven to be pretty successful for people who can do it. All right. So there are 3 types of out-season plans. Oh my goodness, Patrick. There's 3 levels and there's 3 types of plans. What is happening? What's going on? Okay. Bike focus out-season. That means you're looking for improving your cycling. We have a triathlon bike focus plan and we have a cycling only running plan. cycling only plan. So in the triathlon bike focus one, that means we emphasize the bike workouts, and the run workouts are there, but they're just a little diminished. So we're prioritizing the bike. And you'll see that really play out sort of on the weekends. For the run focused plan for the out season for triathletes, you'll see that the runs are prioritized. So typically the run will be on Saturday. We do that after the rest day on Friday, and the ride will be on Sunday. So it's sort of diminished. And we alternate those inside the team. So if you did bike last year, you do run this year, etc., just for change in modality. We do have cycling only plans, like I mentioned, which have really reduced runtime, or you can also add your runs in. Tom, reflecting on your post today, I think doing the cycling one would be great, because you don't need to do run intensity. We don't need you doing run intervals. You're not getting ready for spring 70.3. Like those of you doing the spring 70.3, you'll probably want to do either the run or the bike tri-focused ones. Okay. And then we have an alternate one as well, which is in development right now. I gotta stop clicking on that. The alternate one is a little more balanced. It's kind of got like 2 and 2, so it's like a baseline steady state. Instead of having more bike and less run, or more run and less bike, this sort of has like a 2-2 plan as well. And all of this we can walk through together. And if you need help, like adjusting or reloading a plan, etc., that's what we're here for. Like you have the keys inside Endurance Nation to modify your plan any way you want. Final Surge, yes, you can sync it with all of your Garmin devices or your Strava account. We'll be able to see your data. You can upload your data, etc. It's all really straightforward. But that facilitates our conversations and my ability to help you coach, or help coach you as well. The OutSeason does have 3 phases as a reminder. So we've got 5 weeks, 5 weeks, and 4 weeks. Each one is work and then testing. So I mentioned maybe doing a test or having some really recent numbers for yourself that you're comfortable with starting the OutSeason. Again, we can socialize that when we meet if you've got questions about that. But generally speaking, 5 phases. So you can do the math on what that means. I haven't done it quite yet, but if we're starting November 4th, week 5 is kind of early December. So just you got to be training through the holidays. And then, week 10 comes probably right around the new year. It's kind of generally always around inside that space. So there'll be some little friction and so on, but we can always adjust the weeks to get you in. The importance of here is that each phase has different focus levels. So generally speaking, in that first block, we'll, depending on the plan you're doing, we'll either be doing threshold work, which is sort of that 10K or 1 hour power/effort. And then we recover. Some plans will start off with the VO2, which is much shorter, like 30-second to 3-minute effort levels. And then we'll transition to different work later. So we'll be using different energy systems depending on your plan, depending on the time of year. Okay. The weekends generally have a little bit of work and some more endurance as well. But some people, in our 65 plus crowd, they just do like zone 1, zone 2 on the weekends, but get the work done during the week. Again, we can make this infinitely customizable with you because we're going to talk about it here together. The key with the out season here is just don't ignore your body. Right. So if you get through week 1, just at the end of every week, it says, hey, take some notes. What'd you see? What'd you learn, etc. If you realize that by the time you got to Sunday, you were exhausted, or, for the first time in your life, you were like falling asleep at the dinner table or whatever it is, those are good notes to have, right? We need to sort of accommodate that. As long as we're making small adjustments to how you're responding to the training, we're great. We don't make respondents to the plan. In general, I like to see how far people can get through the out season before they run into trouble. Some people are like 6 weeks, some people are 9 weeks, some people go through the whole distance. That gives me a sense of what sort of aerobic baseline you bring to the rest of your season, which is really important. Oh, it's fine, Steve. Don't worry about it. This gives you options. You get to choose what you want to do. No worries. Hard to believe. That's amazing. So new age group as well. So when we think about what that means for you, just really pay attention to your body. If you start to notice, for example, that your Tuesday intervals are great, but Thursday intervals numbers are just going down every week on the bike, or your numbers every week go down, then let's talk about it, because we can figure out how to either space those workouts out more to give you a little more rest, or take a look at your day and see what you're doing. In general, great out-season hygiene is workouts done in the morning as best you can, which means a good bedtime the night before, which means a good dinner the night before as well. We do recommend, even though it's the winter, that you do eat and drink on the bike with sports drink and gels, etc. Some people like to do fasted workouts. I have to say, fasted interval workouts, not the best idea. If you want to do sort of like fasted workouts on the weekend, or add zone 1, zone 2 time in for some of the group rides or some of our challenge rides over the weekend, amazing. Like, knock yourself out. But trying to go out and hit like 3 by 10 minutes at your threshold, but not eating anything since like 7 p.m. the night before, that's going to be a tough one. You can probably get it done the first time, but it's going to be harder and harder to do. And what happens eventually is that the calories catch up with you. So even if, let's say, you fasted overnight and you're doing your workout fasted, and you're like, well, I don't normally eat till 11 because I want to have this window of, like, 16 hours before the last time I ate. By the time you get to the end of that window, your body has been like cannibalizing itself because it's used up all your stored glycogen for that hard session, and you're in a tough spot. So I'm okay with, if you are in that fasted, I'm going off on a tangent, but if you are in that fasted state, to be like, hey, please fuel your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. You can do Monday, Friday. You can fast on the Monday, Friday days for your days that you want to have your 16 hours of intermittent fasting. We could talk about the weekends, but generally speaking, fueled workouts are bettered workouts. Okay. It's just training you for in season. And then I mentioned the adjustments as well. Feel free to make your adjustments or let me know. What people will most do, like the more experienced or competent users, will go in and say, this is what my workouts are, and they'll drag and drop the week and say, Coach Patrick, go take a look at this week. I made some adjustments to the scheduling based on my life. Does it work? And I'll come in and say, yes, that's great. If you come into me and say, I'm really busy at the end of this week, can you move my workouts? I don't really know what that means. So it's not super easy for me to help you out, but we can work through it. Okay. So don't be afraid to move things around. We can always move them back. Great. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about more strategic changes to the out season for you, coming up on that 30-minute mark. So again, post questions if you have to bounce. I'll come back to you. Don't worry. Functional strength, as you saw them in the black, Mondays and Fridays. What we're trying to do here on these days is just stay healthy. It's not a CrossFit training program. It's not about, building your best 1 rep max for a squat or for a bench or anything like that. This is mobility. This is strength. This is the type of work that helps you stay in the aero position, that helps you run downhill, that helps you stack up running miles, that helps you, reach further and stronger inside the water when you're swimming. All those things are really important. The winter's a great time to make that investment. 2 sessions a week for 14 weeks, 28 sessions. That's amazing. That really adds up and carries you through the bulk of your year, with maybe even just some maintenance work as you go forward. Okay. Body composition. I just was talking about the fasting part, and I think it's worth sort of reiterating that now as I fuel my webinar. The winter is the best time to make body composition changes because our training load is low. I don't want you to modify your workouts, but you can modify other nutrition. We will have Cami Banks coming in to talk to us a little bit about nutrition during the out season, and weeks 1 and 2. She's going to give us some guardrails to follow. And I think she also has some kind of a program. If people want to opt into that program, you can certainly do it. Otherwise, we can follow those guidelines and keep one another accountable. Generally speaking, it's just about being smart about the bad food and being good about the good food. The way I like to think about it is, in general, when we're fueling our workouts, if I do a 2-hour ride, I'll eat X. Let's say I eat 500 calories in 2 hours. If I'm doing a 4-hour ride, I need to eat 1,000 calories, right? Double that amount. What I don't want to do is still eat 500 calories, but then get my other 500 calories like that night at the pizza place and eat a whole pizza pie to myself. That's not great for my body composition. So doing more of the fueling in your workouts is great. The complementary part to that is we have room after the workout in a workout window. So if you did a 2-hour bike ride on Saturday morning, that was pretty tough. You've got about an hour and a half after that workout where your metabolism is raving, so like you can put your food there. So if you want a piece of, or 3 pieces of pumpkin pie, let's have them after our workout. Hopefully nobody's looking when you're eating the pumpkin pie, and do that, right? If you want to go crazy on Halloween candy, have it after your workout. Don't have it at 10 o'clock at night when you haven't done anything for 6 hours and you won't do anything for another 8 hours, which is just crazy on your metabolism. So it's about spacing and making smarter strategies around that. Although please don't tell Cami I told you should eat lots of Halloween candy. I may get in trouble with that. I'd be curious to know, what is people's favorite Halloween candy? If you want to drop that in the chat right there. I love right now, but it's totally gross, but I love those little pumpkins, like candy corn, but like in the shape of a pumpkin. Don't ask me why. There was a bag of them somewhere around my house. I think they're still here, but I've stopped looking for them. All right. So things to know when we get into the out season program, what we're not doing is we're not stressing swimming. For those of you who are triathletes, I'm not really worried about your swim. Most people don't make great swim changes unless they dedicate 4 to 5 times a week. The winter is really not a great time to do that. A swim camp's a great time to learn some new technique and strategies, or an early season camp. But generally speaking, you're better off resting and putting your energy into cycling and running, which are the longer sports for your triathlon, and will have a much bigger impact on your overall day. The only exception to that is if you really are worried about your life when you swim. Okay. So you can use your Monday, Friday swims as recovery. And we do also have like an optional overlay. So you can put your out season plan in, and then we can come in and add another plan, which is just swims that go on your Mondays and Fridays if you want to have that in there as well. Marion, dark chocolate, anything. Low key, I found out I was cleaning up my mom's apartment. She's moving into assisted living. And I was cleaning out her pantry, and there was like a big bag on this top shelf. So I take out big bag. I look at it. It says like dark chocolate. Like I think they're baking chips. I mean, this thing had to be like 3 years old, but I was like, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's still good. I didn't touch it, but I was like, that's me with candy. I'm like, it could still be good. Still be good. The overall, we do want you to rest for sure Monday and Friday, and I do recommend it starting off that way as well. A great out season is a 14-week out season, just like a great race. There's no such thing as a good bike followed by a bad run. There's no such thing as a great out season where the last 6 weeks you've had to shut everything down. So really think about, can I do this for 14 weeks? Is sort of your decision making mindset. We'll exit the out season and we'll go into swim camp anyway, so you'll get plenty of swimming when you come out of the block anyway to get back on track. Okay. General structure: weekday threshold VO2. I told you this weekend sweet spot, so it's a little bit lower. You do a little threshold, a little lower, and then depending on your program, you may actually have some optional Sunday rides as well. Again, I'm not looking for excellence or hard work across the whole thing. It can be social Sundays as well, depending on what you want to do. Our runs are typically in the run focus programs. You have 2 quality runs and then lots of short runs. In the bike focus program, you'll have sort of 1 quality run and more sort of sprinkled runs, if you will. Well, sprinkles, since we're talking about dessert and ice cream. Oh, George, the bite-sized Butterfingers, those are disastrous. My God, I can't believe you just reminded me of those. We do typically we'll have a midweek run. God, why do I keep clicking that thing? And a weekend longer run. We can flip-flop those depending on your schedule. That's fine, no worries. Depending on the phases, this is what it looks like for you with the intervals. So we'll start off with more zone 3 intervals first before we get to zone 4. So we're not just crushing you out of the gate before we go to negative splitting that. Okay. Negative splitting just because it's more race specific and starting to get into some of that endurance pace. Just a refresher on the scheduling piece. Reminder, we schedule the year based on your A race. We'll do the winter, basically trying to get stronger. It's usually durability, but we can have some speed and some strength. We recover with swim camp, and then we'll exit usually into a specificity block because most people are not racing until June, July, August, or later. If you are racing in like March or April, like if you're doing 4 to 70.3s, I think it's May, you may come right out of the out season and go into a specificity block. You may also want to cut the out season short. You may only do 10 weeks, like the 2 first phases, and then we'll transition out depending how much volume or race related time you need. For those of you who just purchased the out season, you have the out season program. If you want to talk as we exit the out season about continuing on and using plans or programs, we can talk about that. But I'm happy to support you in any way that makes sense during your time here, so you kind of have everything you need. Okay. All right. I think we're almost done. Hey, there we go. New members. That's where you can come and join. For people who find this in the future, you can always just go to nerdsstation.us/outsseason to learn more about the program and join in to see us there. Okay. And then last but not least, no such thing as a bad question. So would love to hear from each of you. If you do have any questions for me, I'll put myself back up here on screen. Just over 30 minutes. Not too bad for me. Kind of like a little 3 by 10 minutes there with 1 minute and a rest between the webinar intervals. All right. Hopefully you can hear me again. If you can't hear me, give me a little text chat there. That was weird. My mic dropped. But if you do have questions for me, now's a great time to do it. I'll type this in there. Oh, can you push Final Surge workouts to Training Peaks? You cannot, but if you want to talk with me offline, I have put plans into Training Peaks for people. That's usually depending on the plan. If it's already there, not a problem. If it's not there, then usually that's just an extra thing. Typically, that's for the higher paying customers. I'll put them on Training Peaks because it's an account. We can figure that out for you though, if you want them there. Okay, do we need to set up a new account? Marion, if you already had a Final Surge account, I don't think so. When we get you in that first week, I'll bring Brenda along with me, and she'll make sure that we have everything reconciled for you. But it should just be email setting up a code. And if you've had Final Surge, I think Final Surge keeps everybody there, so you should be pretty good. Can the workouts easily be uploaded into Zwift? Yes, and so it's one of the things we worked on a lot last year that really helped. And so what you'll have is the batch of workouts, and we'll go through it together on the seminar. But basically, we're going to pre-upload all those workouts to your Zwift library, so they're there. So you can just go into Zwift and go to your folder and find your workout and do them. And so it's very easy. Just click in the drop-down menu to find your workouts. I'm trying to talk to Ross, but just reflecting on me that you couldn't hear me yesterday too. I'm so glad you can hear me. The other piece is that we're working with Zwift right now and trying to figure out if we can have actual scheduled rides during the weekday or not. It's unclear if they're going to let me do it or not. So they may just be custom workouts that we follow. But in general, everyone's doing intervals on Tuesday and Thursday and long rides on Saturday or Sunday-ish. So like there's lots of overlap where people are riding and doing those pieces. So those are great questions as well. And once you do the workout, whether it's on Zwift or Trainer Road or whatever, when you're on the trainer, you can actually use the settings as well to toggle up and down to increase or decrease the intensity, or if you need more rest, hit pause, and then you can just give yourself a little bit more rest inside the workouts, which will be great. Huge fan of Zwift. We spend a fair amount of time in the winter in there. It's pretty social and fun as well. I even have a keyboard on my handlebars, so I can like tap with my thumbs. I use Trainer Road for key sessions. I find that Trainer Road has it's smoother. Like it's almost like Zwift's structured workouts are like trying to think about it, like Bud Light. So they work and they're good, taste great, less filling, whatever. Trainer Road is like a double IPA from a local brewery. It's just smoother and better. So if you want to use Trainer Road, I'll need to know that to make sure I got all the workouts over there for you, but it's just a little smoother. Trainer Road, for those of you who don't know, is basically a protocol that allows you, it's an overlay on your screen. So still runs on your laptop, still talks to your smart trainer. And basically like on my screen right here, I'd have a bar at the bottom that would have my stats. And then above that, I could watch a cycling video or watch a movie or whatever I want. So it's not dynamic or in game, as we say with Zwift. So it's up to you what you want to do. They both work just fine. But I know when I'm doing harder intervals, I prefer to use Trainer Road. It's better. In general, in harder intervals for anybody, when you're using Zwift or Trainer Road, you're in erg mode. You want to be in the small chain ring in the front, in the middle of your rear cassette, so you can keep the RPMs up. Because when those RPMs drop, that's when we get into trouble. We don't actually we're not going to do like 150% intervals here. That's more race specific as we're peaking for something. So you should be pretty good being able to map to it. I don't see you getting into trouble. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Amazing. All right. Anything else we need to know? I'm also debating what to do with the group structure as well. I may put people inside of a Facebook group instead of inside the Endurance Nation group, because the Facebook would be a lot easier. I'm just curious, is anybody like, if I say that, are you like going to go into a rage and not want to do a Facebook group? I'm just curious to know what the sentiment says. If you're like, I don't care, etc. I just need a place where people can be online, people can talk, share pictures, images, etc., and keep it super simple and easy for you. Rod, hey, what's up, brother? How are you? It's good to hear from you again. Let's see. What's the earliest month you would recommend for a 70.3 race if you're doing the first out season? Okay, so that's a great question. Most people in North America are doing like the earliest it kind of goes like March, like Oceanside. We exit on February 11th, I think, as well. So in that case, we would eject. Usually what I do is I eject people at the 10-week mark. And then transition you, like literally we'll do like 10 weeks out season, like 8 weeks of half. The good news is that the out season, actually the run component, especially if you're doing the tri version, is very comparable to what we'd be doing in the build up for a half. So the big differential really ends up being slightly shorter out season. We're kind of a little bit more on the swim side for you if you're doing that early season race, and we go from there. It's actually really effective. They tend to come out going really strong. The biggest differentiator for those early season races is just nutritional and positional fitness. People sort of lose the execution muscle. I'm like, I need to drink 2 bottles, but like I'm in my basement right now. I'm not gonna drink 2 bottles. That's crazy. I have to go to the bathroom again. But on race day, you need to have the nutrition game down. So that's one of the key pieces. And then positionally as well, like people are not really swimming in open water yet. They haven't really been running a ton outside. So there's a little bit of friction there. Totally solvable. But yeah, we can talk about that when you come inside as well. Thanks, Steve. All right, no preference. Yes, Discord is still a thing inside Endurance Nation. Yes, we have Discord as well, and we can use that for the weekends. Discord is another app. Most people put it on their phone. It allows you to do voice chat while you're riding. You can just log into, do you run Discord on your computer and your other thing, and then you'd be in a chat app. And I'll try and bring that into the orientation session as well, so people can do that if they want. It is kind of fun to chat, especially on the easier. I mean, like listening to someone do intervals, not really high on my list of fun things to do. But on the weekends when you're catching up and shooting the breeze, it's kind of fun too. Yes, Tom, I think I may have to actually upload those workouts in a trainer road myself. So TBD on that. I'll go back and take a look. Fun fact, we were, I think I was person number 9 on the trainer road platform outside of staff. And we've been a part of trainer road for forever. As well. In fact, last year when I contacted them, their help person was like, "You haven't paid for your account, like red flag." Like he kicks me out, and he's like, "No," and I'm like, "Please, can you go talk to the leadership team? It's me. We're fine. Hundreds of people have bought your software like because of the thing." And anyway, we have fixed it all, but it's pretty funny. So we're good. We'll get you rolling. Okay, awesome. Any last minute questions? We're coming up on quarter of. Want to be resourceful, like I said. So we'll follow just so as you're typing your last minute questions, like the week before the 4th, we'll send out some emails. I know you'll be all into your Halloween and your costumes, but we'll get a scheduled event up. We'll probably do 2 of them in case you can't make the first one. The goal will be to get everyone into a place together. We'll be able to talk, have all the resources for you pinned and shared there, and so on. It'll be a ton of fun pulling everyone together for this OutSeason and go forward. And even if you're not doing that program, you can be in there. Oh, Tom, that's awesome. Tom, my OG back in the day. Yeah, it's great to see a variety of new folks and old folks as well. It's going to be a good group. Every out season is super fun. It's a great chance to stay on track, keep one another accountable, especially when it's hard to kind of get up and do it. Some of those hard sessions, like you all know it, right? Like the first interval of any session is the hardest interval. And the first intervals of the year are hard too, to just kind of go into like a 3 by 6 minutes or 2 by 8 minutes or whatever it is. It's hard, but it's the good work. It makes you stronger and faster. I like to call it your mental 6-pack, where you exit the out season knowing like I can handle pretty much anything. And turning things down and going longer all of a sudden becomes a lot easier of a proposition, as opposed to also trying to seek speed, a mistake that I often made in my endurance youth, while also going to doing the distance as well. So it should be fun. All right. Amazing. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap for everyone. Stay tuned for more information. In the meantime, if you do need to reach out to me, you can always email patrick@endurancenation.us. I know some of you have responded already to me with some notes and comments, which is great. I just don't want to miss you as well, but I promise by that last week, you'll have everything you need. We'll kind of go from there. Okay. Thank you, Michelle. I can't wait to see you as well. Brenda told me you were coming back. I'm super excited. So everyone have a fantastic rest of your October. Again, stay tuned for more information from me. Again, just chill out, have fun, go for hikes, be outside, be active, be smart. Take a look at your pain cave. Is everything ready to go? All the lights work? Do you need like some badass picture of Rocky or whoever your superhero is? Do that thing. Hey, Dave. And we'll get all of that running. It'd be fantastic. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. I'll leave this up so it's live on the platform. So it's there. And I'll follow up with an email with everyone later tonight. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a fantastic rest of your week. We'll talk soon. And if you want to tell anyone else about the OutSeason, EnduranceNation.us OutSeason, go ahead, tell them about it. They can join you. Again, the price is set up now. You can purchase it. I think we're on the 160 or 180 tier right now. People can buy it now and get the 14 weeks, whatever that price is. Okay. Thanks, everyone. See you later. Take care. Be well.